Hey everybody, welcome to Reef and Love, episode 1 of my tank. This is going to be the build and progression of my 60-gallon reef tank. Just want to walk through kind of everything I did to get here to this point and chart the progression of this tank, see what I've done right, what I've done wrong, learn from my mistakes, and see how it's going. I do have a bigger tank coming into progress, so I kind of want to help myself before I get there. Just to start off, I started with a 55-gallon long. This tank was very low-tech, 2 hang-on-the-back filters, and I figured it was time for me to go ahead and start building with a sump, get a tank that was a little bit more high-tech. So I went ahead and went on my local reef forum, and I found this 60-gallon cube with a corner overflow. It's in pretty decent condition, got a pretty good deal on it, so I figured we should probably go ahead and start working with it. But I had to start with a stand, so I went online and found these plans for a stand and started to build my own. Made my measurements, and they say, measure twice, cut once. I did not do that. I got excited, measured half a time, went in there and had them cut, and of course I had to correct a lot of the cuts that I had to make. But finally we got this thing worked out and built up, and it's got a 3/4 inch plywood on top of it. And then I had to sand out all my imperfections, put in some wood filler, get it all squared away, and then put these little brackets right here on the front so I can put my cover on the front, and then go ahead and paint it. I gave it about 3 coats of a high gloss paint so as it could be water resistant and have a little bit of shine to it, match the room. So afterwards, I looked at it and I said, I gotta put a sump in there. I've never done that before, so I went to my local reef shop and popped the hood. And they were happy enough to let me take a look in there. If you have any questions about what you should do with yours, your local fish shop should probably be pretty helpful with that, as they were for me. So I started to draw out some designs and figure out what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it. And I decided to come up with this for a 20-gallon long. So I got this 20-gallon long tank, and then I put these baffles in, siliconed them in. Didn't want to do filter socks, so I got these egg crates here in the spot so I could use some filter pads and maybe some filter floss if I needed it. Work it through so that we would go. So the way that I set up this tank, the water will come in this first side here, and it'll go down, and then it'll come back over, and it'll spill over through that first set of filtration. It'll go into that spot where I can put my water heater, and if I want a protein skimmer, maybe, but I'm thinking I might not do a protein skimmer on this tank. It'll come back over and go through the chemical filtration and back up through the return section. I got a second tank, a 10-gallon tank, to use for my refugium. Went over to David Rains at Urban Aquatics and had him go ahead and drill it out for me. First tank we drilled, that hole saw that he had was actually pretty heavy, and it was a little too heavy for the tank. Tank couldn't handle it, and so on the second hole we drilled, we actually put a crack in the tank. But went back, got another 10-gallon tank, and drilled it with regular handsaw, and it worked out just fine. $15 lesson. Afterwards, I painted it, so I sealed it so that way light couldn't seep out and get over into the sump and create any algae problems. And then I painted it all white. I don't know if it's going to make a difference, but I'm hoping that it'll help with the light and help the light kind of bounce back into the Chaeto, help it grow a little bit better. Got this spray bar here so that when the water comes out, it'll spray into the tank, and hopefully it'll help to tumble the Chaeto. Again, not sure if that'll work, but in theory it should. And then we installed the sump and the refugium underneath the stand. It was a bit of a snug fit, but it worked out, I think, just fine. So we've got the refugium put in there, and we've got it a little bit higher than the sump. As you can see, I built a little platform down there, and on that platform, I raised it up just so that it could drain back into the tank, into the sump, without getting backed up or anything. In there, I've got a Synchro 3.5 return pump, and pumping to the refugium, I've got a little 1.5 or zero point 0.5 little pump. So back from that old tank, I moved everything over and put it all in the cube. And so still got to put sand, but everything has been transferred over. So we've got the tank, needs livestock. We've of course got to put all those frags onto the rock, find places to put them, and hopefully get everything going back up where we need it. So what I'd like to do is get this whole area, get these corals and everything in the proper spots, proper levels, so that it can get exactly what they need from the light and from the flow, everything going. But I do need to make quite a few substantial changes. Of course, the sand's got to go in, and I've got to get better lights. I've got that 48-inch light that was on the 55-gallon tank, but of course this is a cube, so I'm going to need to get something else. I was thinking maybe a LED, something a little bit smaller. I don't want heat coming off, so maybe not a T5 on this one, although I do like the way the T5s kind of work. So we've got a couple coral in here. Got that plate coral. There's that elegance coral. It's all closed up. And got some recordias. I do want to track the progress of these, see how they're working out. This torch coral was a lesson for me. I lost that head in the 55-gallon because I had under too much flow. And I did not know. This is the first time I'm kind of really going into coral, so I didn't really know what was happening. Just kind of saw it melting away. And it's kind of one of the reasons why I'm doing this channel, so that when y'all see my mistakes, you can go ahead and help me out. Make sure that you kind of help me and save me from myself, save the corals. I do not want to kill them off. They are living things, and as anybody who's into the reef hobby, you want to keep alive this investment. You pay some money for it. You want to keep it going strong. Yeah, this hobby, is all about keeping everything going well, tracking your progress, getting it going. Of course, these mushrooms got to get placed other places, but they're looking nice. Hopefully, can get them to multiply. I hear they go pretty fast. But thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll keep it going.